Good morning. It is Wednesday, 2:30 in the morning. Yep. This whole waking up a little bit earlier, recording, getting my workout in has actually been working for me pretty good. I just got to get used to not falling asleep too soon, because then, I get up really early and I leave my house really early. I don't spend no time at home. Coffee. I always tell people, when I start to watch what I'm eating, my coffee's always black. When I use creamer, I actually use the Lean Body caramel, salted caramel protein. I just pour it in there. It actually tastes really good. Just because I don't, I'm tracking everything that I'm eating once I start watching what I'm eating. So every calorie, every gram counts. Tastes just like coffee or caramel. So yeah, every calorie counts, everything. So today I'm gonna eat. I'm actually gonna drink 3 of these today, and I have 2 cans of tuna, and I'm not gonna lie, with a ramen. I'm using sodium right before I lift. I had oatmeal and peanut butter earlier. My thing is, so like this week I messed up a little bit. I forgot to order. I have a company that sponsors me and gives me all my food for the week. I'm supposed to put in my order every Friday, Feast Mode. They're a local family-owned company that does all my food. I forgot to put in my order, so I'm running around now trying to paste things together, because I usually have my food I want to say about 50% planned out because of the food company that gives me my food. So then I just fill in like the breakfast and dinner and lunch, and it's good. We're good to go. But today's gonna be easy. I'm just gonna do the shakes, 3 shakes, the oatmeal and peanut butter, the tuna, and I got a protein bar also. My calories are pretty low. My carbs are pretty low. I'm eating 280 grams of protein, 110 grams of carbs, and 65 fats. I am down. I weighed in at 219 today. My first weigh-in was I was 230 something. My second weigh-in was like 227. And then yesterday, I worked out twice. I actually worked out twice and did 25 minutes of cardio and weighed in today at 219. A lot of the weight that I had on me was water weight, sodium, just, the eating and being stressed out, not sleeping, stuff like that. It all starts adding on to when you hit like these plateaus, or you're just not watching what you're eating, your body starts to feel it. So you start to feel like crap. That's why I always tell people, you feel like you don't have energy. You feel like you feel like crap because you're putting crap in your body. You're eating, McDonald's, you're eating this. I'm not saying that I don't eat it. I'm just saying that there's a time and place for it now. You can't survive off of that stuff, especially if you're trying to be fit and look a little bit better than the rest of the world. Like you have to watch what you're eating, and fast food is not a go-to, especially if you're counting your macros. The first thing I tell my clients all the time: learn to read your labels, learn to pretty much count what you're putting in your body. I'm pretty sure you don't show up to the gas station and just start pumping gas. Like you're gonna put in a set amount, and that's the same thing with the body. All right, today I jumped forward. I usually, I try to share something motivational, a change in me, a story of me, fitness, just stuff relatable to me. The journey, the walk, stuff that I feel that I could teach you. So yeah, I jumped the gun. I did the whole fitness thing. I'm actually excited to work out today. Yesterday, I had a really good chest day. I did 10 sets of 315, 4 reps, and then I jumped onto the dumbbells to burn out. I did the 130s for 3 sets. Then I did the 150s for 2 sets, and I was done after that. Today I'm gonna do back. I'm gonna start with some pull-ups. I'm gonna probably do about 5 to 6 sets of pull-ups, like just body weight pull-ups. I really focus on pull-ups because I sit there and I just do them. I really lean back and just focus on my back opening up. Then I'll do some deadlifts, and I'll finish off with some one-arm rows and just some heavy compound movements to burn some calories and build some strength and muscle. Yeah, so I'll do back today. I wanted to share a story. When I first moved down here, and I guess you could say I was really lost with just wanting to be in a relationship, like just wanting to date somebody, wanting to like codependency. You know what I mean? It's very toxic, very bad. I couldn't not have a girlfriend or not be in a relationship. And it's because I needed to bleed on everybody else like I was bleeding on myself. It was like this thing. I was trying to like force myself to fix myself. Like I always thought, okay, if I have a baby, then it's gonna probably fix me. No. I'd still end up going back to jail. I'd still end up drinking. It was deeper than that. And I think I kept thinking that something was gonna change me. Something was gonna make me want to be better or do better. And no, it's nothing. It's you. Like they say, and then you hit rock bottom, and that's when you know that you're tired and you want to change and you ask for help. But what if you never know what rock bottom is, though? What if you're lost like that for the rest of your life and you think that's normal? Because I thought it was normal. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like, I thought it was normal to not have no morals at all, to like cheat, lie, be selfish, take, not give, take advantage of people, lie. Like, I thought all that was normal. I thought that's just how you got by. Now, what I start to realize today is that we live in a broken world, but this is because I have a new heart and I look at things different. We live in a broken world and everybody's messed up. Everybody has a story. Everybody has baggage. Everybody's been through something. Some of us have to see the truth because we don't believe it. Like me. I believed in God, like God that created the world, but I didn't believe of a God that was involved with the world, if that makes any sense. He's involved with the world, with you, with everybody on a day-to-day basis. This is why I know for a fact how much he's changed my heart, how much he's just changed everything, how I feel, how I react to stuff, how I think. I'm not like in a hurry. I'm not mad. I was reading this article where they said that A child smiles like over 100 times per day, and an adult only smiles about 7 or 8 times per day. And I was thinking to myself, thank God that I never matured fully, because like I'm still a big kid trapped in this grown man's body. And I still, like, it doesn't matter how bad my day was going, like, I always laughed, I always smiled. And that's how I come to God every morning. Like, I am a little kid just happy to be alive, happy to have all my limbs, happy to be healthy, happy to have a job, happy to have a wife, happy that my kids are coming back into my life, happy that I'm just getting it right now. Like, I'm not hitting my head against the wall looking for answers. Like, I know what the answer is now. When I was a kid and I would, spend nights out running the streets, I sat here and I thought about it yesterday. I would get up at 12, dress up all in black clothes, and just walk the streets and break into cars and steal, and I looked at it as a job. It was like normal for me to get up and do that. As long as I didn't do it in my neighborhood, it was good. I was being a good boy. Always went to somebody else's neighborhood to go do my chaos. But I used to think it was normal to do all those things. And today when I sit here and I watch just other people and friends and stuff like that, I sit here and I realize how confused and lost I was. Because that's the tactic of the enemy. Like, he confuses you. He confuses you and he makes you run in place, and you think that you're doing something or you're being something, and you're not. It's lies. I get up every morning today. I'm so grateful that 1, I have a new heart. 2, I know where I'm going. 3, I'm not in prison. 4, everything is coming back together that was taken from me. Even my childhood. I tell people there's been events in this whole spiritual walk that if, I guess you could say, a normal person that hasn't been through stuff wouldn't be able to see. But I got to see every single event happen where he started sanctifying me and fixing parts of me. When I went to the camp with those kids, that week, God gave me back my childhood. That week, I felt like a kid. I felt like that camp was for me. When I got baptized, the fear of water, being drowned by my uncle, being tortured like that, not knowing how to swim, being terrified of water. The day I got baptized, I see the hand of God pull me out of the water. There was a moment in my kitchen where I fell to the floor, where my wife explained to me what I was afraid of, and it had to do with my rape and stuff like that. Key moments like that in my life, in my sanctification, in my walk with Jesus, has really let me see the truth and the presence of him. God is here. He is here. He is involved in this world. He's involved in your life. He is here. But man, you have to crack that door open though. You can't expect nobody to come in if you have it shut and there's a do not enter sign in the front. Or hazmat sign. You have to open that door. Enough is enough. Man, suffering. I told my wife the other day, I was like, who would have known that I was going to live like the rest of my life like that? Like mad, upset, confused, depressed, lost. Like, I was always worried about what was I gonna do with the rest of my life. I spent most of my life in prison. Like, what now? And it was just what, and I wasn't keeping my eyes on God like I was supposed to since day one. You can't tell me any different now. I actually get a little upset sometimes when people just kind of like brush God off like nothing, and I'm like, man, you obviously don't know the power and the grace that you're sitting in. But yeah, man, it's been tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I came home in 2017, and I was still up to no good. Still, I guess you could say, playing both sides. I was miserable. People that know my story, I was about to take my life one night. My wife got on the phone with me, texted me and stuff like that, and convinced me not to do it. But I was miserable because I was not happy, and my whole life I've been in search for this love that I have now. All right. Man, that was deep. Got a little emotional there for a little bit. It's just, I tell people I cry for different reasons now. Before, I would cry because there was a lot of pain releasing. It was all coming out. So every time I told my story, I couldn't even finish it without like bawling. Now the cry is different. The cry is more like joy because I remember where I was at, and I see where I'm at now. So it's a very different cry. The gym is like empty right now. Man, it's been a roller coaster. From one night stands at the police station on 63rd in St. Louis to the county to state prison. I mean, and Chicago, in Illinois, I went to Joliet. I went to Jacksonville. I went to Dixon, East Moline, Shawnee. I went through Stateville just for the transfer. And then I ended up in the feds. In Mexico, I was in San Luis Potosí, Saltillo, Monterrey, Juarez, and I went to Las Islas Marias. That's the story I'm going to talk about today. And then when I got to the feds, they transferred me over to La Tuna. And then I was in Texas, Phoenix, California, Oklahoma, Atlanta, Florida, Alabama. Yeah. So I was thinking that maybe I should do like a YouTube video giving thumbs up or thumbs down to prisons and going to like go visit them. I use my expertise because there was this lawyer from Miami that got a hold of me once that wanted me to, I guess you could say, I was going to talk to the gang member that was going through trial and tell the judge what I thought, what I thought of this person, how they grew up, blah, blah, blah. So they wanted to give me this, I guess she was calling me a gang expert, street expert, prison expert, cartel expert. I wouldn't call myself a cartel expert, though. I would call myself all the other ones first. Cartel expert, I would say more like a drug dealer expert. The twins are more of the cartel experts. They're in that line of work. But they wanted me to interview this guy and I guess and then testify to the jury, like to help them out. Like how bad can your childhood and gang environment or street environment change you? And people don't realize that there's a lot of kids in prison, a lot of men in prison that got sucked into that whole environment because of like peer pressure. Like they're doing 20, 30 years for a murder they committed on peer pressure. And it was people that weren't even bad. You know what I mean? It was just surviving crazy ass cities. Because a lot of cities are like that. Big cities, LA, Chicago, New York, Miami, St. Louis. Big cities like that, there's a lot of evilness. And the kids are the ones paying the price. So that's why I believe that my message is so important, because I remember my days, man. The OGs always came back to tell us to not gangbang, to not waste your time doing that stuff. It was always the OGs. And you know what? Even the active gang members respected the OGs for coming back. So we've lost that. Just like a lot of things have been lost in the church, where a Christian becomes a Christian and he sits on a bench and waits to do nothing. So like we have to go back. You can't send suits into the neighborhood and expect the kids to listen. You gotta send us back. And there's a lot of us that are willing to go back now. Yeah. So all right, fitness, motivation's out the way. God. All right, let's get into my story. Yeah. So when I first got out of the feds, man, like I had made a lot of connections. Like I was ready to hit the floor running. I got home and the family that I was working for took care of me. They got me a truck, gave me some money. And I tried. I tried to live the straight life, and I went to school to get my CDL, and I was going to school and doing what I thought was right. When I got my license, nobody would give me a job because of my background. It doesn't help that when you get a CDL license that you have international drug smuggling charges. So, I just couldn't get a job. And I have so many crazy stories from when I was driving a truck in Chicago, man. I'll get into those later, but, just funny stories. I just wasn't cut up for that work. It's very dangerous. But I tried, man. I got my CDL. I started applying for jobs, and everybody in prison had told me that was the way to go. It's CDL, if you're a felon, blah, blah, blah. So I spent $5,000 for the school. I forgot how much money they gave me, but they gave me a good chunk for me to start over again. It just wasn't working. So I finally got a hold of Ricardo. Ricardo's my boy that did time with me in Mexico. He's the one I went to go visit in Houston. I got a hold of him, and there was a guy there that was really heavy duty, from back in the day, heavy duty from the Cartel de Guadalajara, and he knew a lot of people. But that was the guy that I owed a lot of money to. Also, when I was in prison in Mexico. So I had to pay him. In order to go, make that connection. So I remember I was still on federal probation, and I ended up flying into Mexico, and here I am trying to get on this marine boat to get taken to this prison island, this island that's a prison in Mexico. It's off of Mazatlan, with all this money taped onto me, because I'm going to pay the money that I owe. I'm going to bring some money to Ricardo because he was doing some stuff and I need to take care of him. I met Ricardo when I got caught in Mexico, and from day one, we just kind of hit it off. He grew up over there by the Saints on 47th, and I forgot what street that is over there. Damien, I believe. But that's where he grew up. Like, he grew up around the Saints, but he was more Mexican than American, like, if that makes any sense. He was like a paisa. And as soon as I got there, me and him just hit it off. We were pretty much always together. And he watched my back. I think there must have been like, and I'm not lying, like over 20 fights that he took care of so I wouldn't have to fight. Like, he always had my back. He knew how to fight. He was a boxer. Always had my back, always was watching me, making sure I wasn't getting into no trouble. It wasn't actually until he left, where he got transferred to that island prison, that I went really, like, just spiraled out of control. Because I'm telling you, if I didn't have somebody like watching me, I was like self-destruct mode. I was a ticking time bomb. And as soon as he left, I started smoking crack all crazy. When he was there, we were party, but I would always, it was measured. When he left, it was just no holds bar. Always had my back, but so I told him to make that connection, and he's like, well, you're gonna have to bring all that money. I ended up bringing all the money. I got caught with the money. That was like the worst boat ride I had ever experienced in my life. I'm terrified of water as it is. Then that boat was moving in such a way that it made me like sick. I can't explain it. I felt like I was hungover. I was throwing up. I was like boat sick. It was freezing. It took all night to get to the island. But once I got there, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, once I got to that prison, I was like, man, I could do like 20 years here, because it was an island with a city in it. Like, there was girls there was kids, there was schools. Like, you could take your family with you to go do your time there with you. They closed it down now. It's a museum now, but back then it was 3 camps, I believe. There was the women's camp, there were single women, the single men's camp, and then the main camp where all the families lived that had kids and all that stuff, the guards. But when I came in with the boat, I was like, man, this is prison. But it was what it was is it was a lot of big time drug dealers that were there for just drugs and not violent crimes. So they had them all together, So there was a lot of money there, a lot of restaurants, every Saturday there's a party in the main camp, main city. They were like little towns. But I was there for, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, sleeping on a hammock, listening to the ocean. I was eating fresh fish every day, fresh octopus. They were always out there fishing and bringing stuff in. I was there for 2 weeks. I ended up paying that money that I owed. I ended up making a huge connection. So when I got back to Chicago, I pretty much just, out of nowhere, I got like my first load. And I remember it was like, I want to say it was like 250 pounds of weed. And I got scared at first because I had just got out of prison. I was in federal probation. And I hadn't sold this much ever. Like 10, 20. Yeah, but not, not like that. So I got scared and I called the guy back, and I remember telling him, hey, can you take this back? I only want like 10, you know. And I remember the guy telling me, take your time. You know, my dad really wants you to get on your feet. He's got a lot of love for you. And I got rid of it the same day. The same day, made a you know, a little grip, a little pack of money, and I went and I got me a Chevy Caprice. I was hood rich. I went and got me a Chevy Caprice, an 85 Broham Chevy Caprice. I put a chameleon paint job on it. I put rims, jacked it up, got my gold chain, you know, became hood rich. And I started getting back in the game again. I started messing around. I ended up flying 2 more times to Las Islas until he ended up getting out. The guy ended up getting out. Don Luis ended up getting out, and he was from Michoacán, from Apatzingán, from El Aguaje, and I had to start going over there to meet him after that. You know, it's crazy because I met a lot of these guys back in the day, and I really didn't know who they were until later. Like later. And these were powerful men, rich men, like powerful men. And I was a little kid hanging around with all of these grown-ass men. But what I remembered the most is how he always told me, like, I was always in a good mood. I can't explain it. I thought that I was doing good when I was living that life. Like a little kid, I guess you could say. I was proving myself, so it made me like feel good about myself. It made me feel good to be part of something. So like I was in that moment and in that time and in that environment, I guess you could say I felt comfortable because I didn't know no better. You know, I really thought that for the rest of my life I was going to be a drug dealer. I really thought that I was going to be a gangster. That was my chosen career field, a gangster. It wasn't until I got out and all that had faded away, you know, the gangster, the money, the drug, everything faded away. I was old, everything faded away, and I was like, well, no wonder I was in a bad mood, because now it's like I'm old, I'm out, I have no purpose. I don't know why I lived the way that I lived. Now I'm paying for the scars from my past, the guilt, everything, because I'm remembering everything now. And the life that I used to have and who I used to be and all this stuff, you know, oh man, I used to have respect. I used to have this car. You know, those stories that you hear when you go to prison. Oh man, I used to be this, I used to be that. Used to. You know, after making all those trips to Mexico, taking all that money, having money around me like that, the drugs, the murders, like just everything in general, all that lifestyle almost broke me mentally, physically, and every aspect you could possibly think of. And it was all a lie. I know what my purpose is today. And it wasn't to be a gangster, it wasn't to be a drug dealer, it wasn't to be none of those things. I know what my purpose is today, and that is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Live the life that I'm living, putting him first, and showing people what he's doing in my life through me and in me with the way that I walk, talk, and share. From those dark times as a kid to then the streets in Chicago, you know, the shootings, the murders, just the gang violence, to then the cartel life, the prison, the drugs, the fast money, the violence. Because I was terrified when I was in Mexico most of the time. I just played tough to make it, but I was terrified because there was no They had no appreciation for life. Murder was just normal over there. It was just crazy. Just to see how it was just so easy. And to get away with it. You can't tell me different. You can't tell me any different from all my stories and all my life experiences. I know God is real. I know He is present. He is here. Day in, day out. He is there. He was always there. It's just we get so caught up in our pain. We get so caught up in those lies and that voice that tells you that you're no good, that we forget to open that door so we can heal. We forget to even check the peephole, because He's right there. Right there. My guardian angel probably needs a new job now. He needs a new assignment. His wings are broken. He's been stabbed, shot, all kinds of things, because the things that God has taken me out of. Yeah. So, with that being said, fitness was touch, motivation was touch, story was touch. That was a Cartel story. Oh, man. Hey. Be grateful today. Be grateful today. Be happy. Try to reflect that on someone else today. Worry about someone else today. Let's not worry about being selfish today. Let's ask somebody how they're doing today. How can you be of service? How can I help you? My name's JC. I am Raw and Strong. Hey, stay in your lane, live savage, and remember, this is raw, uncut, uncensored, God first, prison, cartel, gang, street, mental illness, depression, everything of the above. If you're seeing it here, it's because it's real. I'll holler at you guys later.